All right, so I'm back today. This is about a week later on the Toughcut versus Flail mower cut comparison. Like I say, about a week later, 6 days to be exact. And what I'm going to do is take a little bit of time comparing the cut and what's left after a week in the two sections that I cut. One portion of each with the Toughcut and one with the Flail mower. And as a reminder, I cut with both mowers on the 4520 Ventrac Kawasaki motor, gas air cooled, and we cut at 3.5 inches of cut height on both mowers, and we'll show a little comparison of what's left a week later. All right, so here we are a week later after the initial cut with the Toughcut and with the Flail mower. Kind of to my surprise, the clippings, even though they are finer from the Flail mower, are just as much on top of the ground as with the longer strands from the Toughcut. So you can kind of see as I get in line with the cut, you can see the striping that was done with these three. You got 1, 2, 3 cuts with the Flail mower, and you can see the finer clippings here. And then as you move up here, we've got 1, 2, 3. So still, as I said before, just a little bit of striping that gets done with the Toughcut, but much longer strands of clippings. And you can actually, if you look, I don't know if you can see it on film, but you can kind of see where the heavier, longer strands does kind of kill the grass a little bit underneath. All right, and on this section of ground here with the heavy side slope, the upper passes, 3 or 4 of them were with the Flail mower. Pretty evident to see that striping through there, and then the lower 3 or 4 were with the Toughcut. And again, you know, as you look over the entire area, the striping stands out as an advantage to the Flail mower, but I don't see a significant difference in the dispersion or the lack of clippings in the Flail mode section. And down here in these passes, these were where I did a single pass to measure the cut width. And I should point out that this is an extremely dense area of grass, and that is because you can see the little drain down there, but where I'm standing, water kind of channels down this little drain and kind of flows openly, even though it's not in a stream bed, just kind of flows across the section of meadow. And so this grass is extremely dense, and you can see even a week later it's starting to grow back pretty good. So a lot of water gets funneled down through here, and this time of year especially. It's not only tall, but it's really dense underneath. One thing that's definitely worth pointing out is that the Toughcut in heavy thick grass, even though it does a good job cutting, will leave strands sticking up. And you can kind of see, I mean, this grass is certainly growing right now, but you can kind of see right here and out here, you can see where pieces were missed out in that little strip right there. And that's kind of between that outer blade and the center blade, kind of where they overlap. It's easy to miss some. The Flail mower did a lot better job in that regard, but there again you can see just how dense the grass is in this section right here, even in comparison to further down in that stripe. And this also, now a week later, shows a little bit better that cut width, where the Toughcut will knock down, the tires will knock down on the outside of the Toughcut swath, whereas the tires kind of run even with the Flail cut swath. So now, in addition to reviewing the cut from a week of time that's passed by now, I'm going to do some additional testing, cutting at a lower height with the Flail mower. I think I pointed this out at the beginning, that the Toughcut's lowest cut is 3.5 inches, but the Flail cut will go all the way down to 1 inch. And so what I'd like to see is what the cut quality and the clipping dispersion looks like if you cut with the flail mower a little bit lower. I think 3.5 inches it's the number 11 setting on the on the adjustment, and it goes to 17, so it's just a little bit over half the height. But we'll take a look at a lower level, probably around 2.5 inches. I can't imagine needing or wanting to use the flail mower to cut all the way down to 1 inch, which is its lowest setting. All right, so in this section of grass here is where we're cutting the 2.5 inch cut height, and checking to see what the clippings look like and what the finish looks like. You can see here that this is a very mulched up finish. Of course, the clippings are laying on top of the ground, and if I sweep away a piece here, you can kind of see it leaves a very nice cut finish, considering that this grass was 18 inches to probably 22, 24 inches tall, and was able to cut down to this kind of a low level at 2.5 inches is pretty remarkable. Now, I will say that the travel speed between 3.5 inches and 2.5 inches has to drop pretty considerably. You could probably see on the video, but bogging down the tractor is pretty easy when trying to run at the 3.5 mile an hour mark. And what I ended up doing was running right at about 2.5 to 2.2, somewhere in that range, in order to keep RPMs up in the, at least above 3,000, in the 3,200, 3,300 RPM range. All right, so here we are in our second cut area. Once again, we've got 3 rows with the, actually I think 4 rows I did here with the fine cut flail, and then down below 3 rows with the Toughcut. The grass height and visible clippings are nearly exactly the same, but you do see some more pronounced striping with the fine cut. And the last comparison that we're looking at between the 2 mowers, this was a single stripe where I tested the width of the cut. This was Toughcut. This is a very dense grass area because this bottom stays very wet. And then in this stripe was the 72-inch fine cut flail. So again, a little bit wider cut, but very similar look now after 3 weeks.
After the 3-week review, I decided to go ahead and cut the grass. I didn't record any of that footage as everything was pretty much the same condition from both mowers as we had previously reviewed. So in this clip, I'm 5 weeks from the initial cut and 2 weeks after that 3-week cut, and I'm redoing the test with the flail cut mower and the Toughcut mower in the same areas to see what a longer duration of utilizing the mowers looks like, and if there's any kind of a difference in areas like these. As with our initial testing, all of these cuts are being conducted with the 4520P, and the cut height on both the flail mower and the Toughcut is 3.5 inches. One thing I've noticed now over multiple cut areas and multiple different intervals is that in general, the flail mower can operate at about 0.5 mile per hour less than the Toughcut in similar conditions and similar terrain. Given the fact that the flail cut is a wider cut, it's probably a wash as far as efficiency. You cut a little bit more grass, but you have to go a little slower. So probably not a benefit to either mower in that particular case. Another thing that I feel pretty confident in is the tractor's ability to hold the bigger flail cut mower against these sloped terrains. It is a wider and heavier mower, and so I probably would not prefer it in ditch type mowing where you really want your wheels to be the first thing that contacts the lower side of the hill. But in an open meadow area, I think the tractor does extremely well keeping the heavier flail cut mower up on slope. In all, both of these mowers are excellent cutting options. The whole purpose of my testing here was to determine if there was a place in my use case to have a flail mower when I have a Toughcut and a finish cut mower. I think what I'm determining is that because the areas that I'm using the flail cut mower in are close to my house and very visible to those who would be coming to the house, that I enjoy the aesthetics of the flail cut. The Toughcut is certainly capable of cutting this grass on a 2 week, 5 week, or 8 week basis, but the smaller clippings and the striping that the flail cut mower gives is just a better look. And so I don't know that the flail cut produces any kind of product that is necessary, but honestly, for those that are owning and using $30,000 and $40,000 mowing machines with $10,000 attachments on them, I think we can all fairly say that we're doing this out of a want and not necessarily a need. And on the other hand, if you're using a Ventrac in a business and this is the type of cut quality that your clients want, then I think you can very easily justify having a flail cut in your mower fleet. If you like this kind of content and you want to see some more, let me know and I'll see what I can do.